All right, today we are diving deep into a step-by-step guide on how to launch your very own mobile food business. And the best part? We're learning from someone who's actually been there, someone who's been in the trenches and turned a dream into a thriving business on wheels. So, let's get into it.
You know the one, right? It's that classic dream so many of us have. Being your own boss, sharing your passion for food with the world, and just building something from the ground up that is 100% yours.
But then, reality crashes the party. You start looking into the costs of a real brick-and-mortar restaurant, and the numbers are just staggering. For most people, that sky-high price tag is enough to stop that dream right in its tracks.
But what if there was another way in? A smarter path? Well, this is where our guide, Fernando, comes into the picture. He and his wife hit that exact same wall, but instead of giving up, they made a critical pivot. They chose a food trailer, and honestly, their story shows exactly why that was such a brilliant move.
And right here, this is one of the biggest aha moments of the whole thing. It all comes down to one word: redundancy. See, Fernando's point is this: if you have a food truck and the engine blows, your business is dead in the water. You are closed until it's fixed. But if the pickup truck that's towing your trailer breaks down, who cares? You just go rent another one, and you can be back in business the very same day. He says that one simple insight has literally saved his business more than once. It's a game changer.
Okay, so let's say you're sold on the trailer idea. It just makes sense. Where on earth do you even begin? Well, before you start dreaming up menus or what you're going to call your signature burger, you have got to build your legal foundation. Think of it like the chassis of your truck. Everything else gets built right on top of it.
And the first, most important piece of that is the LLC, the Limited Liability Company. Look, in simple terms, this is your legal superhero cape. It creates a firewall between your business life and your personal life. So if something goes wrong with the business, heaven forbid, your house, your savings, your car, all that stuff is safe. It is absolutely non-negotiable peace of mind. And I know this part sounds super intimidating, but it's really not as complex as you might think. Fernando breaks it down into 6 pretty straightforward steps. You start by picking a unique name, and we'll come back to that one in a second. You find a registered agent, and you file your main paperwork. Then, you create an operating agreement, get a free tax ID number from the IRS, and crucially, open a separate business bank account. That's the checklist. It just sets you up for success right from day one.
But a word of warning: do not rush through step 1. Fernando learned this the hard way. He was so excited, he just picked a name without properly checking if it was available. Sure enough, a month later, bam! He gets a cease and desist letter from a trucker in the next town over. It cost him an extra $50 and a massive headache to refile everything. The lesson, folks, is simple. Check twice, file once.
All right, with your legal armor securely in place, now we get to the really fun part. We're talking about creating a brand, a personality, something that people are going to remember and talk about long after they've finished eating.
See, anyone can have a name and a logo, but if it's generic, if it's bland, you're basically invisible. A brand is so much more than just a word on a sign. It's the entire personality of your business. And this is what personality looks like. Come on, meet the lazy hog. It's quirky, it's memorable, and it tells a story before you even see the menu. You see this logo and you immediately get the vibe, and I guarantee you are not going to forget it.
The story behind this logo is even better. They actually asked their designer for a chill, lazy-looking cartoon pig. What they got back was this tough-looking biker pig. Now, most people would have rejected it, but they just decided to roll with it, to embrace the mistake. And that biker pig became an accidental marketing genius, even landing them gigs at actual biker rallies. How perfect is that?
Okay, brand is sorted. Now for the topic that makes or breaks every single business: the money. And this isn't just about counting your cash at the end of the day. It's a strategic game you absolutely have to master if you want to win.
So what's the initial buy-in? Well, the range is pretty huge. You could potentially get a used trailer up and running for around $10,000, or you could go all in on a brand new, fully custom rig for well over $150,000. It all comes down to your vision and your budget.
Now, once you're operating, pricing is everything. And here's the golden rule you need to remember. Your food cost, that's what you actually pay for the ingredients, should only be about 28 to 35% of your final menu price. Mastering this simple formula is what separates a busy hobby from a profitable business.
And if you're wondering why that's so critical,
Just look at this. A U.S. bank study found that a jaw-dropping 82% of small businesses fail because of cash flow problems. It's not about how much money you make, it's about how you manage what comes in and what goes out.
And to manage that cash flow, you have to know every single recurring cost. We're talking about the fuel to get to your spot, the daily cost of ingredients, your labor, all the fees for permits and licenses, and even the rent for your commissary kitchen. These are the monthly bills that never stop, and you have to budget for them relentlessly.
We've covered the setup and the finances. Now it is time for a serious dose of reality. People love to romanticize the food truck life, but we need to pull back the curtain and talk about the intense work that makes it all possible.
So let's talk dream versus reality. The dream is being your own boss. The reality? You're also the janitor, the mechanic, and the accountant. You dream of creative freedom, but the reality is endless cleaning and prep in a tiny, hot space. You think it's about traveling to cool events, but really it's about 14-hour days on your feet. It's not just fun and easy, it's emergency repairs at 3 a.m.
And believe me, things will go wrong. Fernando tells this story about catering a massive event when their fridge just died. Total panic. They had to improvise by sprinting to a gas station and buying every single bag of ice they had. They saved the food, and when the inspector came by, he just said, "It's ghetto, but it works." That is the reality. High stakes, problem solving on the fly.
So after the legal hurdles, the financial planning, and that brutal reality check, is it still worth it? Absolutely. Let's look at the reward and where this whole journey can actually take you.
See, a successful trailer isn't the end of the road. It's just the beginning. From here, you can scale in so many ways. You could add more trailers, open that brick and mortar you first dreamed of, franchise your whole concept, or even bottle your signature sauces. The trailer is a launch pad for a much bigger empire.
So there it is. We've laid out the entire blueprint from Fernando's experience. The smart pivot to a trailer, the solid legal foundation, the crucial financial strategy, and the unvarnished truth about the grind. So now that you know what it really takes, the only question left is, are you ready to roll?